Have you ever had that eerie feeling like reality might not be what it seems? Maybe you've caught yourself wondering, is this life, this body, this identity, all just a kind of dream? What if I told you that your sense of self, the objects you interact with, even your very experience of the world, all of it might be empty of any inherent existence? Sounds like the start of a sci-fi movie, right? But this is actually one of the deepest insights of Buddhist philosophy. Today, we're going to dive into the concept of emptiness. And if you stick with me, this idea just might change the way you see everything. Hey friends, it's Matt here, your guide through the winding paths of wisdom. Welcome back to another mind-expanding video. Today we're taking on one of the most fascinating yet challenging ideas in all of Buddhism, Shunyata, or emptiness. Now, before your mind goes straight to something bleak or nihilistic, don't worry. Emptiness isn't about meaninglessness. In fact, grasping the true nature of Shunyata can be deeply freeing. It helps loosen the mental traps that cause so much suffering in life. Over the centuries, Buddhist thinkers have unpacked this concept in various ways. In fact, we can break it down into 5 distinct meanings, each one building on the others to create a more complete vision of reality. A vision that will probably flip many of your assumptions upside down. So grab a drink, get comfy, and let's dive into this mind-bending journey. Chapter 1. No Self. Our exploration begins with the Buddha himself. In the Sunna Sutta, the Buddha made a rather shocking statement. The world is empty of self and of anything belonging to self. Pause for a second and really let that sink in. The I we usually hold so tightly to, that inner voice, that sense of a solid identity, it's nowhere to be found when we actually look for it in our experience. To help explain this, the Buddha used a simple analogy. Think of a musical performance. You have the musician, the instrument, and the sound they produce. Together, these elements create the experience of music. But can you point to a single independent thing that is the music? Not really. It's a result of many causes and conditions coming together. The same goes for our experience of the world. When we look closely, there's no solid, unchanging self at the center of it all. Our thoughts, feelings, and sensations are constantly shifting, arising and passing based on countless factors. The self we cling to is more like a useful fiction, a way of organizing experience, but it's not something that exists independently. Or take the example of a dream. In your dream, you feel like a real person doing real things. But when you wake up, you realize that dream self was just an appearance created by the mind. In much the same way, our waking sense of self is a kind of dream, appearing due to certain causes but lacking true independent reality. Now, I know this might sound unsettling at first, but it's actually a deeply liberating insight. When you start to see through the illusion of a separate self, so many anxieties and attachments lose their grip. Life becomes more fluid. You can meet experience with greater openness and compassion.
Chapter 2. No Object. But emptiness doesn't stop with the self. The great Buddhist philosopher Nagarjuna took it further, showing that even the objects we encounter are empty of inherent existence. Let's use this very video as an example. You're probably thinking, I'm watching a video. But if we look closer, what is this video? It's not a single solid thing. It's a complex web of phenomena. There's the script I'm reading, the pixels on your screen, the sound from your speakers, the ideas being conveyed, the device you're watching it on, and the entire internet infrastructure that makes it possible. Zoom out even more. This video depends on the invention of language, the evolution of digital technology, and centuries of human culture. So when you really break it down, where is this independent video? You won't find one. It's a fluid, ever-changing process of interdependent elements. Here's another everyday example. Think of a meal at a nice restaurant. On your plate, the dish looks like a complete independent thing. Pasta, sauce, flavors, everything seems to exist in and of itself. But what made this meal possible? You'd have to consider the farmers who grew the ingredients, the supply chains that delivered them, the chef's training, the cultural traditions that shaped the recipe, even the economic system that supports the restaurant. The meal is not an isolated object. It's the product of an infinite web of causes and conditions. When we see that objects are also empty of inherent existence, it changes how we relate to the world. We can let go of grasping at things as if they're fixed or permanent. Instead, we begin to appreciate the dynamic, interconnected nature of everything. And that brings a real sense of lightness and freedom in the face of constant change. Chapter 3. No Subject and Object. So far, we've looked at how both the subject, our sense of self, and the objects we perceive are empty of inherent existence. But the Yogacara school of Buddhism takes this insight even deeper. It suggests that the very division between subject and object is itself an illusion. Let's think about what happens when you perceive the color red. In everyday thinking, we assume there's you, the observer, and then there's red out there in the world. But the Yogacarans point out that this split between a perceiver and the perceived isn't actually how experience works. The redness and the act of seeing red arise together as a single seamless event. Like two sides of the same coin, they can't exist independently. You can't have a coin with just heads or just tails. Both sides define each other. In the same way, you can't have a perceiver without something to perceive, and you can't have an object without someone perceiving it. They arise together, moment by moment. Here's an example. Imagine you're walking through a beautiful forest. In your usual way of thinking, there's you, the person, and the forest, a separate thing out there. But in the moment of direct experience, is that separation really there? What's happening is a flow of sensations, the green of the leaves, the scent of pine, the sound of birdsong, all arising in your consciousness. And your awareness, in turn, takes on the shape of the forest. There's no solid dividing line between you and forest. It's more like a dance where both partners move together and create the experience. Or think of falling in love. When you're deeply in love, the boundaries between self and other often feel less rigid. You feel a sense of merging, a deep connection where you and the other seem to blend into one field of shared feeling. This is a glimpse of the non-dual nature of experience, where the usual split between subject and object dissolves. Now, this insight can feel pretty mind-bending. It suggests that reality isn't made up of separate, independent things bumping into each other. Instead, it's a seamless whole, a flowing web of interdependent events where everything defines and shapes everything else.
Chapter 4. Buddha Nature.
This brings us to a beautiful and often misunderstood aspect of emptiness, Buddha nature. If everything is empty, self, objects, even the split between subject and object, what's left? The answer is, what's left is awareness itself, vast, open, luminous awareness that is our true nature. Just like the images on a movie screen are temporary appearances, our sense of a separate self is also a kind of projection, created by the mind, but not ultimately real. Beneath that projection is the clear, open space of awareness itself. And here's the key. We don't have to achieve this awareness or create it. It's already here. It's what we are at the most fundamental level. The journey is simply about recognizing it, resting in it, and letting the false sense of separation dissolve. As you start to recognize this Buddha nature, the innate clarity and openness of awareness, there's a profound sense of liberation. You're no longer so caught up in defending a fragile ego or chasing after things to complete you. There's a natural compassion that arises when you see the interconnected nature of all beings. Now, recognizing this doesn't mean you ignore the real challenges and messiness of life. You still fully engage with the world, but you do so with more wisdom and flexibility, knowing that all experiences, pleasant or painful, are fleeting appearances in the vast openness of awareness. You meet life's ups and downs with a greater sense of ease. You respond with compassion because you sense the deep connection between yourself and others, and you stop clinging so tightly to any fixed identity or story about who you are. It's a radical shift in how you experience yourself and the world, and it leads to a much deeper peace.
Chapter 5. No Views.
Now, just when you think you started to grasp emptiness, Buddhism throws one last curveball. Even your understanding of emptiness is empty. That's right. Even the most profound spiritual insights, even the Buddha's own teachings, are empty of inherent existence. They're tools, skillful means, not ultimate truths. This idea is known as the emptiness of views. Any conceptual framework we use to explain reality, no matter how wise or beautiful, is still just a mental construction. It's like a finger pointing at the moon, not the moon itself. There's a real danger in clinging to views, even Buddhist ones. If we attach to a particular belief system too tightly, it can easily become dogma. It might make us rigid, self-righteous, or closed off from deeper insight. Have you ever met someone who uses their spiritual knowledge to feel superior to others? Or someone who takes refuge in spiritual identity, like I'm a Buddhist or I'm a meditator, as a way of propping up the ego? This is exactly the trap the Buddha warned against. It's like confusing a map for the actual territory. The teachings are here to guide us, but they are not the final destination. They're projections on a movie screen, not the screen itself. Once we see that all views are empty, we can engage with them more lightly, more playfully. We use teachings and practices as helpful tools, but we don't cling to them. We remain open, able to appreciate different perspectives without getting stuck in any one of them. Ultimately, the emptiness of views points us back to something very simple: direct experience. It invites us to let go of intellectual concepts and rest in the openness of the present moment, where truth is always alive and fresh. So, to recap, we've traveled through 5 deep layers of emptiness: the absence of an inherent self, the emptiness of objects, the non-duality of subject and object, the luminous, open Buddha nature within us, and the emptiness of all views and teachings. That's a lot to take in, and yes, it can be a bit mind-bending, but hopefully this journey has given you a taste of why emptiness is such a powerful and transformative teaching. Far from being about nihilism, emptiness helps us see through the narrow, conditioned ways we usually perceive reality. It opens us to a more fluid, compassionate, and interconnected way of being. But don't just take my word for it. Buddhism always emphasizes personal experience. As the Buddha himself said, "Be a lamp unto yourself." Explore these ideas in the laboratory of your own life. Test them. See what rings true for you. As you do, you might start to notice something beautiful, that many of the anxieties and attachments and rigid identities we carry can begin to soften. We can meet life's ever-changing dance with more grace, and we can open to the mystery and wonder of this existence in a much deeper way.
Whenever you feel caught in thoughts or emotions, remember the rainbow, an appearance without fixed substance. Whenever you feel isolated, remember the forest, where self and world arise together. And when you get stuck in opinions, remember the movie screen, where every image is fleeting. Ultimately, emptiness invites us to let go, to rest in the vast open nature of awareness, to trust the natural wisdom and compassion that flows from that space. So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep opening to the boundless beauty of this life. If this journey into emptiness inspired you, feel free to like this video, subscribe, and share it with anyone ready for a fresh perspective. Thank you for being here. May these teachings bring peace, freedom, and compassion to you and to all beings. And remember, don't mistake the finger for the moon. Keep looking beyond concepts, back to the luminous heart of your own awareness. Until next time, may you rest in the vast, open space of your true nature.